All right, there we go. I think we're all set again. Perfect. Perfect. Hi. Okay. Howdy, Xavier. Good to see you. Wow. See, even less at nighttime, huh? Probably be easier if I just go back. There we are. Whew. All right. There we go. There we go. Glad you like the stream title, I am. You guys will see why I picked it in a bit. Sir, could you like possibly blend in more with your surroundings? Like, all right. I want it. While we're here, let's grab a few shots. There we go. Yeah, thinking about to have citizen conscripts here, these probably have to be the survivors of the yeah, this has to be the survivors of the astrologer village. Funny to think about. Could do a little bit of cheating, chat. Just a little bit of cheating. There we go. There we go. Poor astrologers. Listen, why are they being so reticent to defend their castle from those who live in death? I think it's only fair that they get a few beatings for not holding strong. I mean, look at it. Their cowardice has led to everybody dying. That was totally avoidable. All they had to do was be brave. I'm just saying. Also, I love how they have the wheel. Good old Latria reference. There we are. There we go. I like that one best for the flame. A little bit of cowardice doesn't hurt. Well, it clearly hurt them, so I don't think that maxim holds true. I don't think they would agree with you, I am. Yeah. I was like, I remember it being something where like they have this head and it's literally just placed over the normal head. Yeah. Very funny. Probably could get away. Oh, they only do it the once. Okay. There we go. There we are. That'd be funny if the ghost chased down the deserters. Yeah, if we had some living ones or something. It is always one of those things where From Software has a trouble where they have to balance between making areas designed so that way they're engineered to be the right, unique challenging experience, but also adding some flavor and stuff, that little stuff to make it feel like it's a living, breathable world. So it's like every now and then they add like, oh, there's like these Radon soldiers and they're fighting off the local wildlife or something like that, right? But they don't do it too often for what I assume is because they're afraid of then trivializing a lot of this combat if enemies have their attention divided every time, It's nice to smile in England. Mayhaps. All right. There we go. Okay, I just wanted to get more shots of the torture chamber and stuff. You have this. I added the libraries, by the way, recently to factor into the analysis for... I think it went into... I want to say Age of Plenty. Because I think that's where I talked about the chapel stuff in general. I saw nothing. I noticed it too late. There we go. No! All right. Oh, that's cool. So basically what you're telling me, Xavier, is that all the prison wardens are asleep at their desks, and it takes the prisoners kicking up a ruckus to wake them and put them back on duty. Wow. I can't believe it. Institutional laziness, even in death. Not my afterlife, hashtag. Ah! Instead, it's institutional incompetence. Oh god, ×5 speed can sometimes be the dumbest thing. When it comes to jumping, especially. There we go. Alright, come on, we can do this. Lazy pest. Yeah, do your torturing normally. You gotta meet a quota. You're on the clock. Alright, come on. We can do this. Just keep on hitting diagonal. There we go. There we go. Now let's reset this. This is where our taxpayer runes are going. Shake my head. Don't worry, guys. I promise you. I'll improve. I just have to raise your taxes. I swear, it's all going to a good... Also, it's all going to a good cause. Like, me having to redo all this. I promise to make good use of your tax money tomorrow. A brand new day and ready to do my job for the good of society. I'm such a good bureaucrat. All right, there we go. Yeah, there we go. Get out of here, asshole. Yeah, I like that one. There we go. No! No! Why did it open in here? What is this? Close that. No! Okay, it didn't change it that much, thank God. I was going to be very sad if it completely ruined the angle. There we go. There we go. My tax ring going to Loki so he can take Dodric's crafting. Listen, listen. It was an invited event, okay? How could I refuse when the Lord of all that is golden personally requests my presence at this all too important occasion? It was a necessary expense, I promise you. There is no waste, fraud, and abuse here. I would never. Oh, something you could mention your Twitter thread is Ronnie technically using sleep magic when she first shows up in her wintry fog. Kale's knocked out then. I don't know enough about Dark Moon and stuff to know if that's like necessarily connected, right? But maybe that's something that Ronnie picked up from Mikola. Who knows? Alright, then we got our typical guys on the battlefield and stuff. We don't care. Alright. Now for the main event. No, not you. Yeah, okay. I think it starts here, but I may be wrong. Trust me, I can't be worse than the last guy. That's what they all say. Ah, there we go. There we are. I was like, I'm pretty sure it doesn't just start. Yeah, okay. There we go. I smell it also knocks you out when she touches you before burning yourself. Yeah, again, it's stuff like that where I'm like the golden barrier stuff or whatever. It's like, how seriously should I really be accounting for this, you know? Like, how much does this actually mean anything? Oh, funny. These don't actually have a pedestal. That's actually really funny. Yeah, they never designed those with a pedestal. I guess because they always knew that you wouldn't be... I just always knew they wouldn't have to worry about possibly any, like, clipping or something issues with them. Because they'd be in the rooftops, maybe. Also could just be that this guy actually thought about what would happen if they made a mistake and the other guy didn't. Whoever designed them. Oh, could be two different people, I guess. Alright, now. Yeah, okay. I don't know. That's your job, man. No, I don't wanna. Someone else can do it. Why is it gotta be me every time? Someone else do all the hard thinking. Well, I don't want to think. I just want to, like, vibe, man. Yeah, this I don't think I'm gonna be. This one I don't think is gonna be getting much attention from me. It's like, oh, the framing for this isn't bad. It's like, oh, there's another one. You're the Lord guy around here, not our fault. Ah, the crosses I must bear. There. I don't want to think about it. You're hidden. I have to double check because I'm like, this resembles something, and I can't remember if it's like the priest or like the swordstress or like this hood and thing resembles something Renox related. Maybe it's just some of the designs. I forget, the one in Ainsel River after Dragonkin Soldier, that just gives you... I think it just gives you the upgrade material, right? The Spirit Flame thing? That's what I want to say. Yeah, where does this take me? Oh. Oh. Yeah, that makes sense. What you doing there, buddy? Get the hell out. There we go. Can't really take these statues seriously. I mean, they do look very... They got that, the very Narm effect for sure. By the way, Nintendo Direct ended up being really good from what I can tell. Fortune's Weave got announced. They had Trails on the Japanese one. Quite a few other titles as well. We got a Vanillaware game coming as well. I was like, oh wow, I think that one released on like the original Wii, so that's pretty neat. There we go. Giant Lady, yeah, the Night Lord, the wannabe Night Lord, or I guess the failed Night Lord would be the best way to put it. God, imagine Nox doing all those experiments to create a Lord of Night. And then there's an entire spin-off game making it look easy. Just some random nobody making a wish when a passing godlike giant comes through. I think that's it for us, right? I think that's all of it in Nocron. Okay. Okay, yeah. Oh no, there's also the aqueduct. Can't forget the aqueduct. Now this is the one. This is the one where we can find all the little errors. Oh. I did not screw it up. All right, there we go. Yeah, look. Somebody didn't mess with the terrain on the dirt well enough. And it's funny too, because when you when you see how devs you know, the toolkits and stuff devs use for this type of thing, it just becomes all the funnier. Because you're like, you know exactly like what they were doing. Like they were in a rush and they were like, lift this up, or, you know, raise this up, maybe quickly grab onto this and lower it slightly more and all that stuff, right? So they're like, we're trying to, you know, I'll hide it in this random dirt pile and stuff, you know? Trying to get it all done in an afternoon. And in fairness, this one's pretty good. They do a good job of hiding the pedestals. Yeah, they're a different model from the ones we see on the rooftops. That's what I was saying earlier. Like, I was a little surprised to see no pedestals. So I figured, you know, the ones who made the rooftop ones would have made them similar to these. But I guess the design, like, these are obviously more detailed because you see them further up close than the ones on the rooftop. So I guess it makes sense. Got. Yeah, they're. And this is for my personal reference. I just want to see how often we find these little errors and be like, look at that. Or like you can tell they're trying, and that it's the obvious when the slip ups are like, okay, like they weren't looking too close, or they're like, no one's gonna be looking that close anyway. It doesn't really matter, you know. Like you can see where the laziness creeps in. Oh, did I? Huh? Oh. Oh, that's why. It's... Okay. Yeah, I don't know why it was freezing up there for whatever. Very odd. With the lighting change here, how's it? Doesn't really affect that much. Yeah, no. I don't remember if we had this. Okay, I forgot how many golden centipedes they drop here. Yeah, nothing here. Okay. No, I gotta stop doing that. And then next, let's start by our good old pal, Dragonkin Soldier. These things are so unsatisfying as a detail for anything. Yeah, it's very simple. It's like, okay, ritual, you know, the stupid Night Lord ritual got performed, and like the candidate turned into a mummy, and all the populace basically got either sacrificed or accidentally caught in the blowback and turned into petrified statues. It's like, oh, okay. It really isn't. It isn't really that deep, you know. There isn't like you can like really look at the nitty gritty and be like, oh wow, there's some really neat thing. It's like, yeah, just make like randomly like, you know, oh my god, horrified face as we adulate or some other shit, or you know, very similar to how they handled Yahar'gul. Yeah, whatever this stuff was called, I forget. Yeah, like there. Forgot to lower this one, buddy. Yeah, I treat this the same way I treat like the odd Langdell house that doesn't have its gold and stuff covered. It's clearly just one of those oversights. No, I mean, they don't really perfectly feel like that. They feel like statues shoved into places. I feel, so here's my problem with them. I think the issue is that they get too artistic with them. Where like, oh, let's have like clumps of them around doorways or around this like shrine thing or something like that, right? Like they're trying to do something that makes it look aesthetically pleasing, but that also makes it look like designed, right? So like when you look at them here, you can kind of get the sense, right? You get the idea of what they're going for, right? But then when you're like, say, on top of Noxtella, and you're like, oh, I'll just go inside this chamber, and then there's this chamber where a bunch of them are like emanating around this chest or behind this chest from like another Nox statue. It's like, oh, this kind of feels like someone, like built this and designed it so that way it would look this way, That's, so I agree with you there. It does have that vibe sometimes. Again, it doesn't help that even though they're clearly trying. Oh, look, some of these bigger ones, they actually do have no pedestal for. That's actually neat to know too. Anyway, but like they have these standard like clumps of them and stuff, and they just kind of give them like a pedestal that they don't always like hide. Yeah, it's just overall not my fave for sure. I'd have to agree. Look, you gonna get Ocarina of Time remake? No, bro. I don't have a Switch 2. I sure as hell ain't playing anything on it, including Duskblood, so... That said, I look forward to probably watching someone's playthrough of it. I actually am curious how this remake's gonna go. I'll be honest, when I saw the trailer or whatever, I'm like, okay, that's cool and all, but it kind of just takes away from the original art style. Is it just me? Like, I kind of felt like it kind of lost some of that like fairy tale artwork vibe in the transition. Like, it's skewing a little bit too photorealistic. Seems Greater Will likes petrification as a form of divine punishment. Yeah, maybe. Could also just be because the idea of like stars and minerals and stuff like that, right? I do have a curiosity if stars are like a unique mineral that is completely unconnected to the one great of the Earth, or if like the Earth of the one great was taken by the Greater Will and then transformed into stars. Like let's say like it ate some of the rock from the Earth and then it spat it back out as stars, quote unquote, right? And then as the primeval current, all the stars flow from there, that type of idea. I thought about that, something like that. Okay, I think that's it in terms of our little mistakes. I think they're going for a different art style. Again, maybe, but I don't know. I feel like it kind of takes away from the vibe that really made Ocarina of Time so, well, timeless. You were so close. Guys, it's the title of the video. Guys, like, wait, why are we praising? This sucks. We're turning to stone. Who thought this was a good idea? Was it Greg? I think it was Greg. Got you. I think that covers that. Now we can start from everybody's favorite spot. I'm curious if they'll adjust anything in the story to match current interpretation or add a bad ending leading to downfall timeline. So you wonder if they're going to do more to integrate into the BS, like, Zelda timeline multiverse shenanigans stuff. I mean, they might. I could see that. I think the question is, like, how much do they want to just create a faithful recreation of the OG, but with, like, the updated graphics and maybe UI and practices and stuff like that, just kind of refine it? And how much they want to, like, take it as a base to expand upon. Oh my goodness. It's okay, guys. It's just a whole heckin' lot of... Yeah, okay. For a second, I thought that didn't load properly, and it was like missing its texture. I was like, how? How did I break it? Of all the major devs, Nintendo's got a serious remake problem. This year alone, they've announced a fourth reimagining of Star Fox 64 and a second remake of Ocarina of Time, reheating leftovers. Listen, remakes and stuff have been a thing for a while now, and I'll be honest, I prefer remakes than more like bullshit, like absolutely terrible games that should have never gotten off the ground and wasted millions and billions of dollars on. Okay, so like if they want to do like the safe remake, I'll take it. Again, I'm someone who's not like, I'm just not someone who's intrinsically opposed. Who's intrinsically opposed to the idea of remakes and stuff like that. I mean, granted, it's probably a carryover from film because, like, you know, they've been doing remakes and films for decades and decades of all the popular hits. Like, that's nothing new. Whenever there's new technology, there's always a desire to try to retell the story using it, right? Adding it to the tools of the storyteller. And I have nothing against that, really, in gaming either. In fact, I would even argue I'd prefer it in many cases. Because obviously, devs struggle as it is just keeping games relevant so that way they don't become, you know, obsolete on old titles. Like this one you could tell they were supposed to put the dirt pile here, but they forgot. So they end up with this really awkward scenario. I don't think this one's gonna. This one inside is clipping though, right? Yeah, no. Yeah, they made sure to put that one inside properly. But yeah, like stuff like this, it's like this is so funny to me. I don't mind that much either. Yeah, for me, I think the biggest problem is, are you gonna do a good remake or not, right? Because, like, okay, you're playing on easy mode, you're taking a game that people have already made and clearly was loved enough that it was worthy of getting a remake. So, like, do you actually understand the game? Know what the criticisms are? Know which criticisms are worth adjusting things for, given the sacrifices that might need to be made for it, right? Like, you have to do all that. It's why I'm so impressed with the Trails in the Sky first chapter. Because it is literally the perfect remake. Like, every decision that could be made was the right decision that was made. It's like what to keep, what to change. Like, I truly am in awe of these. From what I understand, we're, you know, young new guys in Falcom who in fact joined the company because of you know, them playing Trails in the Sky, the OG, way back when. And it's like, yeah, we need more people. We need more people like that making decisions in games. There we go. Yeah, okay. Here. Yeah, okay. Majora's Mask would be an interesting remake, because, like, do you keep it as, like, the weird, like, reused asset kerfuffle that it is, or do you try to make it stand out as unique now? Like, that would be an interesting one where you'd have to really decide, like, the artistic intent, the resource limitation at the time, and the artistic intent that might have arose from that, the overall vibe and things, like... Anyway, as far as Ocarina of Time is, I hope it's going to be good. I hope it's going to be a good remake regardless. I hope that Zelda fans get to enjoy a classic and that people who've never played the OG we'll get to be able to experience it and get a sense of a piece of history. Why are all the roof stadium bleachers? Because it's easier to put the things on there if there's little panels that you can put them on. So it's like one on top of the other on top of the other. Obviously, Xavier. Clearly, they thought about this in advance, those Nox. They were like, listen, if it just so happens that this all fails and we all end up being petrified or whatever, let's make sure we can all pop out of our rooftops looking all cool. Links the Pestis release one additional content would be super appreciated too. Yeah, I don't know where I would land on that. Well, again, who's gonna notice that, right? The way among all that. Actually curious how many mistakes were made in Night Rain by comparison. Like, did Noclateo have a lot of these too, or was it pretty? Well, need to raise that dirt a little, my friend. You know what I'm really looking forward to besides Majora's Mask? It would probably have to be Twilight Princess. I would really want to see what they could do with Twilight Princess with modern day lighting, graphics and stuff. Like, that was always like one of the appeals. Like, you know, you take like the very, you know, cartoony nature of the other games, and then you try to do one that has this more like grimdark look to it. It's still a Zelda game at its core, right? But, you know, something that really kind of makes it feel like you're more gritty, right? With Link. I'd love to see how that turns out with modern day presentation. Yeah, I cannot complain. I was able to play Demon Souls on the emulator, so that was definitely that was something I couldn't have done without people who were wonderful enough to mod the systems and stuff to get that all working. There we go. Oh, what about I didn't check the cathedral rooftop, my bad. I would be inclined to think these guys are normal statues if they weren't like 20 people max in all the cities. I think 20 is being generous. I think it's closer to like, what, a dozen? If that. Okay, yeah, they got none over here. Okay. It's very obvious, like, just the way they're going and the fact you only see it, like, for example, in these two cities. You don't see any of it in the Nameless Eternal City, where there is no throne with a Lord of Night to be found there. The fact that you can find second thrones in Celia, and of course here in the cathedral for Noxtella, right? The inclusion, especially when you include it around the crypt chair in down there in Ainsel River. It just becomes like increasingly obvious they have a vibe going for it. Though, like Xavier says, when they do shit like this, it's like, why? Like I would have loved if it was like, oh, a random one here or a random. I get it too, why they wouldn't want to do that, right? They don't want to make it where everything feels like kind of weirdly inelegant, right? They want to show some of that majesty of the Nox and then create the contrast with the statues to really help focus on the eeriness as you ascend or whatever. But I'm just saying. I'm just saying. What the hell? It's a freaking electro orgy in there. Like, holy hell. Well, that's how you're supposed to use shock collars. Good to know. There are more instances. That is also true. Okay, yeah, so that covers all that, yeah. All right, so I got the idea now. It's not as crazy. Like, yeah, it's definitely, I wouldn't say it's infrequent, but it's not like so flagrant where it gets confusing what they're going for. It's very obviously like, okay, they're doing this because this is hidden, or because they forgot to add the dirt pile there, or, you know, this or that. They forgot to lower this thing a little more, or raise that dirt a little more. Okay, so wanted to clarify that. I was able to get a lot of work done these past few days though, chat. Different stuff was happening, especially with the dog. Like, oh my god. I'm gonna try to keep things from getting testy. But just know I want to strangle a bitch. Thankfully though, Doggo's doing okay now, so doesn't look like it's that serious, so that's all I need to know. Yeah, okay. And then Minda with modern graphics. Which one? No, but yeah, like Twilight Princess, again, it's just that it has this unique vibe among them all. You know, it's very much like Wind Maker in that regard. Just how they decide to like very radically change the art style for the 3D from the original Ocarina, you know? I just kind of would like it if they kind of remade that one and we can kind of see what they could do with the light and shadow aspect. I support her. You don't want to support. You don't want to support who's responsible for hurting my dog. I'm like, oh my god. But don't worry, she's back to her. She's been unaffected by the whole thing. In fact, she decided she would take a mud bath today when we went to the park. I was like, oh my god, do I need to strangle you too? Like, holy hell, why are you rolling around in the mud? But she was having fun with all the dogs and everything, so. You must walk the middle path, Loki. Loki will not cut a bitch, he swears. He promises not to destroy them and ruin everything that they hold dear. Ooh-ba, ooh-ba. Ooh. Ah! Okay, yeah. So nothing else really special about the city I think worth pointing out. There's no other statues, nothing else really stands out there, so confirm all that. And then, like I said, Noclateo would be the last thing to really confirm there, but, you know, I can't do that off the top of my, you know. One of these days, maybe we'll do a modded Night Rain playthrough, and I'll be able to do that, but I think it would be a disservice to do that during normal playthrough. But hey, I guess we could... I guess I could, theoretically, throw a bunch of Acers matches whenever we get back to doing group content there. Alrighty. Yeah, okay. This is normally okay. Okay. Oh yeah, so much has happened today. I completely almost forgot. So I did the Twitter thread on like the Mikola stuff, which was both timely and untimely. Timely because suddenly people decided to talk about Torrent in the Discord chat and the burns on Torrent. I was like, oh yeah, that's gonna be part of the thing. And then on the other side, we had the Dustblood announcement and stuff, so it kind of drowned out everything. But I was so glad. I was like, okay, I got that off my chest. There's just so much. There's so much Mikola stuff for me to talk about. I'm like, I'm never gonna be writing a thesis on this guy. There's like so many other things. And like I said, it's already like, I'm already like not being able to do too much because of all the stuff that's happened in real life. So I'm very happy to at least got that out for you all. Then I will be hopefully getting something else done. I'll be able to actually do my writing without an incident taking place that requires my attention. Wish you the best, man. Don't worry, don't worry. Everything's going fine. I just need to keep myself from getting pissed. Yeah. I'm curious why they decided to put the ashes here with no corpse or anything. I guess the idea is, I guess they died and turned to ashes like on their own here, kind of like how we have some of the guys just standing here looking at all that death root. They look at all those corrupted roots and they're like, oh my god, it's getting worse. Oh my god. I don't think we can solve this anymore, man. You should have done one before the DLC. That way we could pretend the end of it didn't happen until you went back to it. That'd be so funny. It's like, ah, yes. And then Mikola went off to who knows where, and nothing ever happened. Nothing happened after that. We never did find out why exactly he needed Radon. They're the tree, obviously. The stupid tree. Ghosts become trees. It all makes sense now. Yeah, nothing we care about there. There's nothing really. There's nothing else really to focus on except maybe so I'm thinking about also like getting a character to final boss territory. So at some point we could do a stream just entirely focused on Godfrey, Radigan, and Elden Beast. No one cares about Gideon. So I thought about that one. Don't know when exactly. Oh, did BGM finish? Okay, let's find something that's 1 second, chat. Sure, whatever. What the hell is this one? Sure, whatever. There we go. All right, Mikola's Radon simple as. Melania actually went to pick up her brother because he decided he would role play as his brother, who actually secretly died during the Star Scourge incident. Yeah, that's the big secret Radon didn't want anyone to figure out, was that he actually failed and died. But Mikola decided that he would step in and be a bro. He was like, I can't let my brother be humiliated this way. What is everyone going to say at the funeral? I'll just pretend to be him. Because you have both the white particles and the red here, so it's a little awkward. A true Martinian ending. Yeah, there's nothing really to add, I think, in terms of the visual storytelling here. Like, it's kind of just like, okay, we have like everything really to work with. It's about making conclusion stuff. Like, I still haven't really given a lot of thought to the cocoon stuff. But again, I feel like a lot of that ties into, like, what exactly is the nature of Mikola's curse? To be forever young? And then, of course, ends up creating, developing, adding to himself Trina. That's, I will never get over how they basically named his big, you know, city brace thing Ivory Fail. It's like the Ivory Failure instead of an ivory tower. Now, in many respects, you could argue that the hailing tree itself is kind of, sorry about that, a stand-in for the ivory tower. Yeah. Yeah, but I think I made a good case with the Twitter thread on, you know, why I suspect Mikola is involved with the Night of the Black Knives and how that connects, you know, back to the Godwin stuff. Guys, look, Crystallians that didn't get corrupted. They just ended up dying. Wait. Actually works out. Yeah, it works out surprisingly well. Oh, wait, no. Fuck. Looks like we can cheat. There we go. There. There we go. Make it stop. Seriously, who brought over the spirit collar snails? Oh yeah, probably Mikola. Probably Mikola. Yeah, this is probably another allusion to the how he's involved in spirit calling stuff, and so is probably the owner of the spirit caller bell that he gives up, you know. Oh, I can't believe I survived that. I think it's the biggest shock for me. I didn't die, never punished. I mean, how that works. Seriously, you guys get everywhere. Wonder if the red, having the crimson one is supposed to be like a foreshadowing about the whole Neo Crucible aspect to this Halig tree. Like I said, maybe come back and take some shots of this stuff without having to worry about getting the red particles mixed with the white particles on a character. And then, like, slowly but surely move to the point where we'll get to final boss territory. Yeah. And everyone's favorite statue. If I recall correctly, Summoner's Tales have a horrible grab attack where they shove their head down your throat. That's one way to get to the spirit, I guess. Huh? Oh. How nice of them. It's back. That is so funny. They stop it just to make it come back instantly. It's funny too because I'm pretty sure these Ionian butterflies are pretty rare in this area, right? Yeah, the thing is that we've done so much of this. There really isn't anything new here. I forget what's even in this one. This is the brace where, yeah, Mikkel is inside here, yeah. So we finish being in the giant branch here, and then we get to good old Eblafail. Read your thread, didn't get what role Mikla had in the Night of the Black Knives. Oh, I thought I spelled it out. It was about the spectral horses. So, one of the problems with the Night of the Black Knives is that it requires a lot of traveling very far across America's domain. And while obviously for us, we can get on torrent and travel across the whole game map in 30 minutes, the game itself makes it clear that that's obviously not to scale for the lands between, that the world is supposed to be, you know, more realistically large, and that it takes time to travel across the highway even and get to places. You need to have little stop towns and stuff along the way and everything, so you can make some overnight stays and reprieves for everything, right? So that is a thing. So then how is it that the assassins are accomplishing all this, where they have to get into position sorry, to ambush Malekith? Okay, Rykard's got you covered. He'll give you the information on when exactly Malekith's coming to visit, and what you get yourselves in position, so that way when on his way back you can kind of ambush him, and then don't worry, Rykard's going to keep him distracted long enough for you to do everything else for that night. Okay, so we got a timeline. We got to do this before Malekith reports back to everybody exactly that we got a piece of destined death on the loose. Okay, good. Then you have to travel back to Ronnie at her little tower thing. She's got to forge you the daggers, and then she's going to give you guys the daggers. You got your training in advance, so you already have a good idea how exactly you're going to wield this stuff, so that's fine. But then you got to now get back on your steeds and now travel all the way to your different directions. You know, you got your You got your one in Weeping Peninsula all the way over here. You got your several over here in Liurnia, so those are relatively close by. Then you got to get like all the way over, obviously, to Langdell. You need to have like 8 of you going there, and then you got all the one up here in Castle Sol. And don't forget, like, you got to get down there into the Dame's Eternal City below Langdell. And again, that's not that bad because, you know, at that point, these 2 cities should be connected. Anyway, and then you got the one, of course, over at Ordia. So like, you got a lot of targets that you need to slay. And again, these are just like the known targets. Who knows? God knows, because of how the world's not to scale, especially with stuff like Night Rain and stuff. There's always the possibility there's more that we just never experience, or they're never relevant to the plot. Quote. Point is that, you know, you have a lot of travel distance you have to cover, and you have to do that all within the same night that the text makes abundantly clear. And so this seems to only be accomplished because of the magic spirit steeds that are the same ones that Knight's Cavalry wield later in the timeline. So it's only thanks to these guys that they seem to be able to accomplish all this stuff. And then the question is, okay, well, where did you get the magic spectral steeds? Which is, again, where my thread comes in to ask who? We know, we understand, you know, Godofre's role, Rykard's role, obviously Ronnie's role, of course, Electo and her crew's role, right? But who's the one responsible for supplying the steeds? All right, and I point out, like, well, we know of one guy who's been able to summon and tame spectral steeds. That's Mikola. And then, of course, everything else I pointed out in the thread and stuff like that. It just kind of builds the case with the relationship with Ronnie, the stuff we have with Torrent and everything, that there's clearly a dynamic going on there. And it really kind of fits in with the conspiracy and just generally what Mikola does, which, as I pointed out, Mikola can't do his Haley Tree project, whatever small island there was there or whatever, whenever he decided that was the location he's going to do it, he can't do it without Ordina and Soul, you know, being brought to his cause. And that's not really going to be viable when the entire Erdtree Empire is strong. And obviously, there's assassins and, you know, especially post-assassination stuff, they're going to want to keep a strong grip on this. So if Mikola is an inside guy and he's purposefully trying to take out these demigod leaders and stuff, that would try to keep things firmly, you know, in the golden order and not Mikola's idea of a new golden order, pure golden order, you know? So stuff like that, it's like, okay, yeah, you could already see, like, even just as something as basic as that, how he benefits. As we can see, Night of the Black Knives allowed Mikola to get his ambitions off the ground. So it's you know, it's highly sus scenarios like this that make me go, oh, it looks like it wasn't just those 3 demigods. Looks like there may have been a 4th. It ties it all together. And also, of course, especially in the fact of Godwin, where it's like, okay, you know, people make such a big deal about Godwin. Like I said, I think it's overstated. But to the extent that, you know, obviously Mikola does care about the whole living and death thing. I think we can't really rule out the idea that it was a high priority for him because he, of course, is in many respects responsible for it through the conspiracy. It's like, okay, you can argue, you didn't really know, you didn't really expect for that what I was going to do, or the consequence. It's like, okay, yeah, sure. But like for Mikola, who's all about like, no, I'm going to create this wonderful, kind world for everybody, and you then add a curse in the world that makes things a lot more shitty for certain kinds of quote-unquote people, yeah, you can see how he feels like he needs to resolve that one way or the other. Yeah, that's just, there's nothing back there, it's just the door. Overgrown tree. Yeah, there's our other guys. Yeah, there's nothing really left really to add to the Haley Tree stuff in terms of data collection. Like, really, if I was doing a Melania focus thing, I might be able to find more stuff because, you know, there's always the random Marauder shit that's happening here. Yeah, see, like, these things do not appear that often. Yeah, Melania is a weird one for me because, like, she of course you get buffed. Of course, why wouldn't you get buffed by my suffering? These damn ass babies. Okay, now this takes us to the underground section, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we all know. One of these days, I will do a character who will kill Melania, just like totally illegit, just so he could get shots without her in here. Man, I would love to see if they could ever restore the boss fight when it was Melania acting as Miquella's defender here before the kidnapping subplot got decided. That would have been so cool to see how that would have played out, you know, with like Miquella blessing Melania and all that. And from what we see, he was gonna give her like freaking like blue rock goddess wings and stuff like that. So yeah, just would have been so neat to see it all come together. Besides the theory as a whole, are there any other characters in game that are described as being able to summon and ride spirit seeds? Nope. Besides the Knights Cavalry, and the Knights Cavalry obviously get it because, well, the assassins left their horses, and Morgott obviously would, well, they're a Tree Kingdom, and then Morgott would of course be the ones in possession of the horses, and then Morgott has a bunch of warriors, probably from what we see, Kaiden, mercs, train, learn how to basically kind of reverse engineer the whole taming and using of those horses and stuff, right? So like, yeah, the Knights Cavalry would be the only ones, but they happen, of course, post Night of the Black Knives in the timeline, so. Well, blue butterfly coats. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's to be fair. At least the clones would do that. Might have been that she would have still stayed like Rock Goddess E, right? Maybe they just give her like a magic aura effect or something. All right, I think this takes us back up this way. Yeah, back up here. And then again, we see the typical stuff. We have the trees with the red leaves and things. Yeah, I feel like probably the biggest thing I'd want to get right now would probably be those stupid Erdtree avatars here. Those would probably be the ones that are most interested in. There we go. Fix the creaky leg, my friend. Oh, I didn't realize their feet are actually like knights greaves. That's kind of cool. That's neat. Yeah, there's no other candidates of people who can have a feasible connection to Ronnie, and know how to summon in and be involved with, you know, be involved with spectral steeds, right? We already know Torrent is the old master now, thanks to the DLC, pretty much making that abundantly clear between the promo image, the feed stuff with the branch. So yeah, it all ties together. Like I said, though, the problem with Miquella is just like there's so much to talk about with Miquella. Maybe even too much. I'm just not going to be touching it like anytime soon. Yeah, this interesting. Yeah, I've been thinking so much about, you know, something like this. But I think the idea really is, I think it's something as simple as, you know, people who come here seeking, people who come here being promised that Miquella is going to be the successor to America's love, right? It's like, see, our mother used to love and care for us, and she was, of course, we even see the DLC, they expressly call her Mother America and stuff like that. So it's like, you know, she was a mother to all of you. She was, of course, also our mother, and we personally knew as her children her love, and now we can share that love with you in our kind new world and order. It's going to be a pure gold or whatever, right? So people come here being like, oh, it's great. We're going to finally get basically like what we got with America before, but oh guys, it's even better. It's pure. It's even you know, the unallied gold thing is even better than before. And then it's like, okay, yeah, you know, America with like the cursed eyeballs and shit. You know, it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows with her and stuff, so they try to throw that away, and then it's like, okay, we gotta hide this thing because God forbid America might see what we did. Which kind of, you know, highlights the point. Well, technically, Renala knows spirit stuff. Yeah, but Renala doesn't have the connection to Torrent that Mikkel has. And that's the point, is that the at least when it comes to the Spirit Caller Bell, the Spirit Caller Bell thing has to be tied to Torrent's master. I don't know if I would call what Ronnie does with Renala, though, really a spirit thing. Because obviously it doesn't look anything like the typical spirits we have. It looks like a lot more like the Morgoth projection type stuff. And obviously, I think the biggest problem is that we get remembrance and things from it. So it's like, because that's supposed to just be the idea that it's like a past record of Renala that Ronnie somehow drags out of the Erd Tree, right? Like, it's connected clearly to like her Dark Moon and like shadowy stuff. I just don't know exactly how. Yeah, there's just really nothing. Like, this area's pretty basic overall, right? Like, I could take like a shot probably of the stuff here, maybe. Again, if there wasn't all the, you know, that. Yeah. Like, that would be really it. Yeah, and it's so hard too with this because there is just so much. There's so much that they obviously are not loading in here. Yeah, I think something like this would be a good shot. Just for a reference for me in the future. There we go. Also, the hell is this? It was just such a... It's funny though, seeing how lazy they got when it came to the low poly stuff for this. Because like, you're never gonna see it this low poly in any. Why are there royal revenants in Alphael? Are they guard dogs? But generally speaking, when we see royal revenants, it seems to be because they're there to collect more wraith souls or spirits, whatever you want to call them, the vengeful spirits, right? So I guess the question would be, are there lots of vengeful spirits or curses in general down here that they would be coming around for? I guess maybe, because you could make an argument maybe there's just lots of cursed people, but generally they seem to go to places where the curses are dead. You know, places where there's like areas steeped in grudges and deep resentment. So yeah, maybe it has to do with their actual like specific history and backstory, and maybe the idea is that there are other people who are coming to enjoy Miquella's new order, but I'm not sure. If only because, again, I don't really know. Don't really know enough about that history to really kind of make a determination. Like, do they come from the cosmos? Are they from some spirit realm thing? Are they like something else entirely that exists in this terrestrial Earth only? A lot of questions I have. that's definitely one area where they're more useful in getting an idea of like, oh, there's resentment and curses here than anything else. Of course, we get loot. That's true. That's true. There may be this idea of some sort of civil conflict here that the game might be alluding to that's attracting the revenants. And obviously they don't pick the smaller ones here because they want to create a unique setup, and this is a late game area, so it'd be easier if you just make a bunch of royal revenants instead of having some of their minions mixed in. Obviously they want to make sure this area is primarily about Mikkel and Melania, so they try to keep their factions the main focus here. Yeah, Dustblitz is looking great, by the way. Like, just visually, it looks, especially considering it's on a Nintendo console, looking absolutely phenomenal. I guess we'll see after the closed network test if the game plays up to snuff. And this is one of those areas where I feel like it should be more atmospheric than it is. I don't know. I think it's because it's just too small. I feel like if it extended out the whole way here would have been better. Oh, you know, now that I think about it, though, it does highlight the fact that this is an island, right? That there is actually a landmass here separate from the tree and the infrastructure. So yeah, that's actually cool. Can't wait to dive more into some cool world building. Yeah, as I said before, even if I'm not able to play it, if it particularly grabs me, I don't mind, like, at least do it on the side, some Dustblood lore stuff or whatever. It's just I don't know. I just don't know if it's gonna grab me, and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do well on the reference image side when I obviously I'm not able to play it for myself. So I guess we'll see. We will just have to see. Alright. I'm happy with the decision to separate Far Missoula from Dragon Civil War, by the way, because I also think I was like, yeah, now I can have like fire giants in between stuff, and I can include some of the lore stuff there as well with some of the dragons and things. So I'm happy with all of that. That makes me so happy. And then of course, I basically got a first draft of Room Bear done, and there's also pretty close, I'm pretty sure, to finishing up a thing on Bloodhound Knights as well. So like I said, I just want to get one of these theses wrapped up and stuff, and then maybe we'll start seeing dominoes fall from there. I hear it's going to be able to hit a whopping 15 FPS on the hardware. Yeah, we're going to see how well this actually works out on Nintendo consoles. Like, they've had Night Rain, they've had Night Rain to help kind of like player test a lot of their online aspects. They've obviously had a lot of time to work with the Nintendo console stuff in general to try to get it all sorted. So like, I think there's a good chance it'll be decent, but we'll see. We will have to see. A point here that's, I think, worth noting is they do seem to try to make an emphasis of including the skeletal snail snakes when we have both right, whenever we have both giants and humans buried in the area, since they have the giant skull shells and everything. So that makes it interesting because we also see that at Capital Outskirts, which again, I think fits with what we see about the general relation giants had on Altus at the time. Definitely at least trolls. I don't know if it's because we've only got 2 trailers, but Dustwood's world is personally feeling like a character of a soul is impossible to decipher lore. I mean, like, yeah, we don't really like they aren't really. It's mostly just vibes. Like, what was the recent trailer? Like, just 1 minute or something, right? Like, it was really short. And it was just there to kind of hype up the closed network test. I mean, we get to know that there's like ancient blood kings. There's the idea that all the player classes or whatever they're called are monsters who become effectively blood pillagers. They go around basically taking blood from, I guess, each other or someone else, like, or maybe just in general. But it's having them all compete, and they're all competing, I guess, because there's at least the narrator was like swearing an oath on this ancient blood king or whatever. So, and what we see in the trailer is a bunch of people, is like this idea of a history with chalices of blood and stuff like that. So maybe they're going for the idea of kind of like, you're going to become the king of kings, the Christ type person. Take of my, you know, take this, you know, take this cup of my blood, the blood for you and everlasting covenant, you know. So you take that, you take maybe that concept of the idea being that this ancient blood king was going to be like the god king of that world, and he's kind of demanding that the main the main classes competing in this this game. So essentially, they are being told that, you know, hey, if you want to succeed me, because let's be honest, it always comes back in these games too. Oh, you will become the successor to the king or something like that, right? Could be the idea that they're all competing for blood, therefore on that note, I could definitely see that being the case. And then, honestly, not as many as you would think. And then, yeah, we just seem to get an idea of, okay, there's like this vaguely like Chinese class of character. There's like this weird ruffian guy who's like, looks like he belongs in like a vampire smut novel. You got I remember there being a wolf guy in the first trailer, but I don't remember if that was like a separate boss or that was part of the class stuff. So like there's a lot of like different factors there that plays into it, but I feel like what we got is just like the very bare bones basic premise, and everything else, obviously, like the world, the setting, the history, the different countries and factions and players involved, and what exactly is the main place that we're taking it on, and why is everyone there specifically, what is the history of this place with this ancient king and stuff like that. That's, I feel, is obviously going to be something we're not going to figure out until the game is out. And so until then, it's just going to look like, hey guys, I remember Bloodborne. I mean, it's the same thing when you, like, you guys got to remember, up until like Dark Souls came out, like people's only point of reference was Demon Souls for what to expect. And so it was very easy to kind of just look at that and think like, oh, this is like some weird like sequel type thing, where like it's some like far in the future type you know, I don't want to call it spin-off, but, you know, like kind of like, you know, continuation of the Demon Souls universe storylines and stuff like that, at least loosely. It was like, no, it's a completely its own thing, separate universe entirely, you know, a lot of familiar elements but completely separate mechanics, and still a very compelling world with people populating it. So I imagine the same thing will happen for Dustbloods. Is Vietnamese actually? Okay, good to know. We're after moon tears, apparently. Yeah, see, like that. I've not followed the Dustbloods lore, so I do not know all these little details and stuff like that. But yeah, just kind of looking at what we've gotten up until now, I get the feel. Like, I get the feel that, like, they're obviously trying to be very evasive probably because they know stuff can still change and things like that, so they want to wait until the network test to see what people are going to give feedback for that. I think it's mostly obviously going to be gameplay, but I think they'll probably have at least some questionnaires and stuff related to like narrative setting, things like that, so they can kind of get a sense of how the new system the new setting is going for people. You know, what's the general mood about it and the world that they're creating. And I think then probably once we get closer to release and stuff and the lore gets more solidified, we might get a few more details and stuff. But again, even Elden Ring, I remember if it wasn't for leaks and stuff like that, we really were not getting that much information about the world and setting of Elden Ring. Even the dialogue reminds me of the Zanzibar meme. I do not know what the Zanzibar meme is. Has dinosaur transformation spells? Oh, I do not recall this whatsoever. Like, yeah, so like obviously it's gonna be, I'm sure Dustbloods is going to feel like what Bloodborne was for people on the PlayStation exclusive side. I'm sure it's going to be something that people are going to feel really special for the console that it's on and what it's doing and how different it is from what's come before, while still keeping a lot of that familiarity that we all know and love from Software. I'm sure. The problem is it's on Nintendo, and I'm just not interested in getting a Nintendo console. Yeah. It's just the normal giant stuff. Okay, so putting this all together, I think we're pretty good as far as the stuff related to giants is. I now have my reference for all the stuff on the Nox thing. We got a few of those shots of Castle Sol I wanted to kind of pick up while we were at it. Yeah, guy turns into person-sized T-Rex and does a grab attack on another player. Yeah, so like I'm sure there's gonna be a lot going on there. Now, my question is how big and expansive this setting is gonna be, because it is a PvP game. Is it gonna be closer to Night Rain? Again, I feel it's probably be more fleshed out than Night Rain, but I'm saying it's like in general, is it gonna be kind of somewhat on the smaller side, like closer to a Demon Souls type of world in terms of its scale of the story and background and general expansiveness? Or is it going to be something where it's like, oh no, we're going to do something like probably not Elden Ring tier, but you know, something much more closer to like a Dark Souls, a Bloodborne, you know, something like that, maybe bigger than them, you know. I would really love to see what they're planning to do on that front, because that could have potential, I think. If it's something that's really small and condensed, they could end up making something that's like really focused, right? Or you're gonna really kind of get a sense that there's a lot of depth to the world and the story and the characters and things like that. But if they go with more of the breadth thing, it might make it feel like this world feels more like alive and like expansive, you know? It really again, it just depends whether how much they want to go for like the low key like Demon Souls feel versus the more expansiveness of like say the Dark Souls universe. I'll say probably smaller amounts of world building cover, but I guess I could be surprised. Yeah, again, it's just there's so many questions about how this is going to work. Like how many items are going to be in there with item descriptions and stuff? Is it going to be like is it going to be collected? Are they going to have item descriptions? Or are they going to like go back to the drawing board and do the codex entry idea that you would unlock and get from characters? Because they kind of already did that with Night Rain through the narrative storybook stuff. So I could easily see them converting that into like a general codex entry type thing where you unlock different items, item descriptions, lore blurbs, maybe in-universe texts or stuff that can help inform you in ways that that obviously gives a different feel compared to how like notes in Bloodborne or item descriptions in all these games have really worked until then. All right. Chat, I've been yawning far too much for this. I need to get myself I need to clearly go check on the dog, make sure she's still sleeping and stuff. You know, my baby's healing. And make sure that oh, there we go. Make sure that I just get some shut-eye and stuff, because I want to get back to actually getting stuff done. I want to actually get these theses done and over with, because I'm tired of having them half complete forever. So I want to be able to at least finish one or two of these, get some smaller stuff out, and then hopefully get myself back into the program. In the meantime, tomorrow, because dog's going to training and stuff like that, tomorrow's probably going to be like a trails stream. I'm probably going to want to continue on that, because we have 100 days until second chapter comes out, and I 100% want to be playing that day one. So gonna try to finish up the game as soon as possible. But yeah, until next time, guys, bye.